because we got burned on She-Hulk. So
Here we. Speaking of that, wait. Let me get the graphic up here. Let me get the banner. Here we go. Alan Aim. What did you think of and I don't know if we should go into the story. I don't think anybody cares. We'll get into spoilers.
So I didn't know anything about the leaked synopsis. What was the leaked synopsis?
The leaked synopsis was 100% accurate. 100% accurate, which is kind of shocking.
Yeah. So we're coming out from a perspective of you knew the story before going in, and I knew nothing about the story going in.
Well, I was like surprised that, like, first of all, when I heard it on the Nerdrotic Nooner, I thought to myself, this is so dumb, it's probably true. And then it turned out to be true. But yeah. Alan, tell me, what did you think?
Well, and that's the other thing is, I caught the reveal live and unexpected. I had no clue that it was going to go that direction. And it was going to break. And I felt the same way you did.
Literally break the fourth wall. But okay, so Alan, tell us, what is your review? What are what's your review and thoughts on She-Hulk series finale?
Yeah, well, the only thing missing in this episode was the shark, because they definitely jumped it. It's like the previous episode is the episode that I turned on the show. This episode just solidifies the fact that I turned at the right time. Because if I hadn't turned then, I would feel really stupid about liking the show up until this point. Okay, so I've been doing improv comedy for almost 30 years, and this feels like a really bad improv show in the sense of on improv, if you're in a bad improv group, you stand on stage, you do silly things, you hear some laughter, and then you go after the show in the back, pat each other on the back and say, wow, what a great show that was. And that's what this felt like. It was a bunch of writers who you saw in this episode patting each other on the back saying, wow, we just created the best Marvel series ever. And they're going to run with that, and not realizing that the audience, we're a lot smarter than that. And that this show is just nothing but silliness. And I have to say that it feels like now that anytime that I had a positive feeling or a laugh in this show, I feel like it was completely accidental on their part, that they let a joke slip that was actually good. And so the show, just again, this is just like Rings of Power. They felt like that they were the smartest people in the room, and that they're constantly, I can see it in the writer's room, that they're saying to themselves, wouldn't it be funny if, and then someone affirmed that, yeah, it would be funny. All right, let's put it in. And what happens when you do that, when that's your attitude in a writer's room, is you're setting up good ideas and good premises. You're setting up a premise for a joke, but what you don't have is the punchline to sell that premise, to say, this is why you need to laugh at the premise we just set up. They're just saying, this is what we think about men. All right, let's put these weird things men do in it, but there's no punchline. There's no payoff to what they're doing. And now that they literally broke the fourth wall, they just didn't know where to go from here. The idea that they're setting us up for She-Hulk potentially meeting Kevin Feige, and running into an AI robot instead. Again, that's the setup. She-Hulk's gonna meet Kevin. She-Hulk's gonna meet Kevin. Kevin's a robot. And then they left it at that. That's supposed to be the joke. And there's nothing funny about it. There's no punchline to sell that setup. And that's what this show has been from start to finish. Setups with no punchlines.
Well, first of all, I have some thoughts on this. Okay, I have thoughts. I'm actually, you know what? I found the velvet peanut butter that I was talking about. I'll show the graphic later. But I'm in two minds about this, because it's interesting. They kind of went, some people have said this is like Deadpool, breaking the fourth wall, the way that she climbs through, because it starts off and it's dumb, right?
Mhm.
Todd, that one guy is the director or whatever, the sort of tech bro. It's revealed that he is basically the one that's been behind the group that's going after She-Hulk. They're trying to get her blood so he can become super powered, and they sort of play out this plan. Emil Blonsky's kind of like, he's not exactly directly a part of it, but he's kind of mentoring these effectively incels. It's incels and trolls that end up being revealed to be the villain of the show. And She-Hulk is so upset by this, she climbs through, well, I guess we should put the spoiler thing up. She climbs through the menu of the Disney Plus screen to go track down the writers, and then are led to Kevin Feige. Now, to be clear, this is something a lot of people say, well, that's like a Deadpool thing. No, She-Hulk actually did things like that in the comic. You can find like graphics of her like crawling out of like comic book screens, right? And my understanding, it's from the John Byrne run, which is what I did not read the John. I read She-Hulk when she was a part of the Fantastic Four. Was my introduction.
And I read She-Hulk before that, when I read her origin story in I think the first 25 episodes.
Okay, so
of She-Hulk.
So these kinds of things happen. So there is precedent for that. It's fine. Here's my problem with it. Or here's the thing. I actually thought some of that was kind of clever. Like the crawling through the screen, going to track down the writers, but it's literally a self-insert. Like Jessica Gao is like in the scene. She's the showrunner for the show. She wrote the episode and wrote herself into the show. Now, the other thing I will point out is this. Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, we knew who all those people were because they were actually in the comics. You would read the letter section, the bullpen, right? I was a member of FOOM, Friends of Old Marvel, which was a Marvel fan club like in the 70s. It was basically a newsletter you got. And they actually did make them characters in the comic book. So Stan Lee was kind of a character in Marvel Comics. So all these things are not unprecedented. But that was earned. Stan Lee was Stan fucking Lee, right? Jack Kirby was Jack King Kirby. They actually called him Jack King Kirby. This is after years of them working on Marvel Comics. And then people were such fans of Marvel Comics, they wanted to know about the people who made the show. That's why Stan Lee was popular. That's why Jack Kirby, we know who he is. Or John Buscema, or John Byrne, or Stephen Bissett, or maybe not necessarily Stephen Bissett, but Steve Ditko, like we knew who these people were, right? And they wove themselves in the comics. And the reason they wove themselves in the comics is because people were such a fan of the comic. They were like, well, who are the people making this? No one, not one person was clamoring. No one, not one person was clamoring to know who the people were behind the show, behind She-Hulk. They were such fans of it. Like, who's making this great entertainment? A freaking IKEA chair. I'm just saying that, like, the breaking the fourth wall, cool, it's been done. But the inclusion of people from behind the scenes was always earned. Stan Lee was Stan Lee. People were fans. It was the fans clamoring. Wait, we can't put the She-Hulk background back on there. I don't want my face. We're doing a self-insert right now. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. You got to get back to She-Hulk. Thank you for that. But what I'm saying is that, like, Stan Lee being a part of Marvel Comics, or Jack King Kirby, was earned. The writing staff of She-Hulk, a show that has received at best mixed reviews, mostly to negative reviews, and most people are watching it, it's sort of like, because it's like so bad, well, we have to see it, right? This is so bad, I can't believe it's so bad. And there's also sort of like something where it's just like on the circular thing, like something has become so bad it's good, or so bad it's at least entertaining. And I almost think She-Hulk has sort of reached that precipice in this first episode, or this last episode, of like, it's so bad I can't believe it, Yeah. And when I heard the synopsis, and then everything from the synopsis turned out to be true, like ridiculous. I mean, and it's what's weird about it is, if you think about it, it's almost like the writers admitting that the show is lame, and the only way they could go is to break the fourth wall. So them admitting a story that they wrote, a storyline that they wrote for the entire season, and you've gotten to this point right? You've now gotten to this point, and it's like, you know, the tech bro turns out to be the main baddie. It's all these like disaffected men, right? Like, I also think that like if you flip this and just made all these characters women, people would be outraged. One, it would never be made. But this is why I say that like this kind of feels like not right. This kind of feels off. And it's like,
I think you're 100%. That was the thing that I thought about when I finally finished it. It was, this is interesting, but they never earned this moment. They have yet to earn it, and that's why I'm saying is they just sat there in that writer's room saying, wouldn't it be funny if we did this? And everyone said yes, they did it, but again, it just falls flat, you know.
But I do like the idea. Even
if Kevin Feige had really showed up, maybe I'd feel much different.
But I do like that, like the Kevin whatever robot thing had kind of a Kevin Feige like black hat that he always wears.
Yeah, but
it had like this little hood that's a thing that goes on cameras. You have kind of a hood that covers the lens, and they kind of made it look like his hat. And I like the idea that like all content is made by algorithm. I mean, it was basically the show calling out how lame Marvel is, except it was, you know, it's them admitting that everything you've just seen you can completely dismiss because it is lame.
Yeah.
So it's like
something, what you just said is something I've been noticing a lot lately in terms of what people think comedy is. You know, because early on, I think it was episode 4 is when they started playing, you know, video clips of fans, of outraged fans. And then you saw it with Velma, where she's writing about Judy Jetson. She's using the language of outraged fans, and I think they did the same thing here with talking as if they understand the outraged fans. And the problem is that's not a joke. You know, that's you acknowledging what fans are saying and trying to write it off by saying it yourself. You know, and that's their way to respond to it, but they're really not responding to it. They're just bringing it up, and there's no payoff. There's no, okay, you've said that, now so what? And I think they think that's enough, and it's not. And again, I'll go back to what the Velma clip with Mindy Kaling. You know, she acts like she's an outraged fan, but there's no payoff. There's, you know, is she, or is she just making fun of outraged fans at that point?
Yeah, I completely agree. And then also, this is the thing that I was trying to reference here. If you can see that, that looks like the spoiler image thing, right? like I grew up eating Velvet's peanut butter as a kid.
Yeah.
So that's our faces.
We had real peanut butter here on the West Coast when.
Oh, you did? Now I like the Trader Joe's peanut butter. That's my.
No, you know, Jif and Peter Pan and.
Jif, Peter. Yeah. I had those too, but Velvet, I like because of that snarky kid's face. Yeah, but I'm sure
I've never seen Velvet out here.
You never seen Velvet? Maybe it was a Midwest thing. Yeah. Anyways, back to this. Like, so what's weird about it is I love the idea of She-Hulk breaking the fourth wall, you know, doing all of that, but it wasn't earned, and it was also it was basically the show admitting like everything you have seen in the entire season leading up to this, we know it was lame, but we don't care. And not only that, we despise fans. The fact that it's like effectively they made internet trolls. This is even before the show was out. They fully expected the show to be attacked. This is where we are. So I think I think it was just and this is the thing. This is why I think you and I responded positively to the first 4 episodes, because there were 3 decent episodes, watchable episodes in that. We thought it was going to be a show that had like a familiar story every time. There's a problem. There's a B story involving She-Hulk's life, Jen's life. There is the court case of the week that involves something important. That maybe there are some 2-parters in there where the story extends into 2 parts. But no, the writers of the show didn't take it seriously. They didn't take the fans seriously. And this going after fans thing is really disheartening and to me just disgusting. And I don't know why someone has not written about this, or, I mean, certainly YouTubers are talking about it because they're the targets and primarily the targets. But it's also people that talk about this stuff online.
It's also an indication that this is not going to change anytime soon.
No.
Because I think people like getting the outrage. They like becoming victims. and they like basically poking the bear so that they feel more like a victim. And so this is not going to stop until weirdly, until only the people on the internet watch this stuff and talk about it, so that real people don't go out and watch it.
Yeah, I'm just like, all right, fine. This is what you're doing. You just admitted that the show's awful.
Mm-hmm.
You've written in an unearned literal self-insert, unearned. Stan Lee was the good luck charm of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Mm-hmm.
And after he passed away, and they did a little tribute to him at the beginning of Captain Marvel. The best part of Captain Marvel is the opening Marvel logo, which was all a tribute to Stan Lee. And to me, he was the good luck charm. He was in all the Marvel movies. They've since licensed the rights to his image, because I'm sure at some point they're going to put Stan Lee in a Marvel movie or a Marvel TV show or something, or maybe do a documentary. Who knows? I doubt they would do a documentary that would really like, that would just be telling us, that would praise him, right? I remember when he passed away and people were talking shit about Stan Lee on Twitter. That tells you how useful Twitter is, how horrific Twitter is. But yeah, so it's weird. Like, I like the idea of the breaking the fourth wall, completely unearned, and admitting that everything you've seen is terrible. It is effectively admitting, because Jen points out all of this stuff is awful. This is terrible. This is how we're going. And then the thing at the end with Daredevil, we didn't even talk about Daredevil, right? So talk about Daredevil in the show at the very end. He just shows up at the last minute, does nothing, and he's effectively like,
she sexualizes him.
Yes, she sexualizes him, which is something you're not supposed to do. Look, I'm all for equality. I actually have no problem with her doing that.
Yeah.
But why is that not able to happen in the reverse?
But if you're going to criticize the opposite, this is my whole problem with politics is, if you can't criticize Democrats for this and Republicans for that, and then you should be able to criticize it when you flip it around. And this is politics today.
That's where we're at. But well, let's get into.
Let me just say this about the series.
Please.
The series, this is the biggest disappointment of the series, is it had a lot going for it right from the start. And it should have gone up in quality. And instead, it took a deep nosedive and went down and just got worse and worse as it went along. This show had potential. It should have been 300-400 times better than it was. The opening court case with Emil Blonsky wanting to get his freedom, that was a good foundation for a starting career for Jen Walters, and it should have gone up for her instead of getting into trade right, copyright, and product liability cases. And it was a missed opportunity. Absolutely, Marvel should have had a hit on their hands, and they blew it.
They could have had a hit with this. And, I'm not going to say that for me, it didn't have its moments, but it's, again, we're 0-9 on Disney Plus Marvel series. Every single one of them at the end of the day is not worth the time. And this one, to me, began with the most potential, like you said, the Emil Blonsky case, and that they could have put that thing with Hulk. They should have
built on that case. And
also the show should have taken itself seriously. I don't mind the breaking the fourth wall, but take the events happening in the show seriously, and nothing is taken seriously. I don't know how they're going to, include her in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which it sounds like that's going to happen. But I think what
she almost doesn't belong in it. That's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, so she's going to break the fourth wall of the latest Avengers movie and call out how stupid all this is. Like, well, then why am I watching it if you think it's stupid? If the people writing on the show think the show they're writing on is stupid, why should I take it seriously? I mean, at the end of the day, it's utterly ridiculous. And what a colossal disappointment for what, in my opinion, had the most potential, because She-Hulk as a character and as a legal drama was made to be a regular TV show, made to be. And what the writer's room could have used is a little bit more diversity. And by diversity, I mean, maybe 50-50 men and women, maybe even 30% women, 30% men, 30% hardcore comic book fans that understand I think what
But see-
fandom wants.
See, I would say not diversity of people, but diversity of experience in terms of writing a television show, writing a
Right.
comedy, writing a legal drama. It's okay to bring in new writers to mentor, to get fresh ideas, but you need a broad breadth of experience in that writer's room, and this show just didn't have it.
Right.
I defy you to find a veteran writer who is on that show.